Welcome to Galactic Conundrums, the channel where we dive deep into the unknown, exploring the mysteries that lie beyond our world. From UFO sightings to alien encounters and the hidden truths of science fiction, we bring you the most mind-blowing stories and theories that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about the universe. Today's episode? Prepare yourself for an ancient artifact unlike anything you've ever seen, an armor that has rejected every alien species until a human steps in. What's the connection to humanity's past? What secrets does this armor hold? Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Before we get started, don't forget to smash that like button, share with your fellow mystery lovers, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear your thoughts and theories, so drop a comment below and let's get the conversation going. Ready to unlock the Galactic Conundrum? Let's dive in. The cold light of the lab illuminates the ancient armor, standing tall like a monument to time. It is 9 feet high, its surface gleaming under the lights, flawless and almost unbelievable. The intricate details on its metallic surface resemble relics of a forgotten era, holding a story that no one can decipher. In the high-tech atmosphere of the laboratory, the ancient artifact remains unmoved, as if it is an object beyond reach by any tool or technology. Around it, the research team stands tense, their faces marked by both anticipation and frustration. The soft hum of machinery and the faint electronic beeps echo in the silent room, but every effort yields no results. One of the test subjects, a Vian warrior, lies twitching on the floor, contorted in violent spasms, emitting sounds that resemble the malfunctioning noise of a broken waste disposal unit. Orion, his voice deep and filled with disappointment. Another failure. Absolutely spectacular failure. He watches the Vian warrior struggle on the floor, his body writhing uncontrollably. Sweat drenches his brow, and his eyes flashed with desperation, but the ordeal is far from over. Let him suffer a bit longer, Orion continues, his eyes fixed on the data. Based on previous incidents, the effects should wear off soon. As the team watches the test subject, the atmosphere in the lab becomes almost unbearable. The faintest bead of sweat slips down the faces of the scientists, each one trying to decipher the enigma that stands before them. The armor remains unmoved, gleaming with an eerie calm. No change, just the silence of something ancient, waiting, watching. Narration, Orion's voice. We found it, buried beneath the thick iced sheets of Europa, a distant frozen world. Estimated to be over 50,000 years old, it predates every known civilization. Yet, no matter how many tests we perform, no matter what species we bring to try and activate it, the armor rejects them. And with every rejection, it grows more creative. Despite endless hours of research and trials, the armor remains a riddle, untouched and unchanged. Its presence is not just a mystery, it's a test, waiting for something, or someone. The tiniest details, seemingly insignificant, on its surface seem to conceal a deeper message. No matter how mighty the warriors or brilliant the minds that come to face it, none have succeeded. With every test, each creature falls into bizarre, inexplicable states, from convulsions to anomalies of physics never before seen. But the armor, undeterred, simply stands its ground, silent and unwavering. In the midst of failure, a single question lingers in the minds of Dr. Orion and his team: are we doing something wrong? Or is this a challenge only a specific kind of being can overcome? The armor stands still, as if a relic from an age long past, unwavering in its silence. It watches, waits for a moment, or perhaps for someone who will unlock its secrets. The sterile, humming lab is filled with an air of both anticipation and frustration. Various alien species, each one vastly different in form and origin, stand before the ancient armor, ready to test their fate. Each one is certain that they, of all beings, will be the one to unlock its secrets. But the armor, untouched and impassive, rejects them with chilling precision. First, a towering Proxim warrior steps forward, his muscles rippling beneath his shimmering armor, his eyes burning with the certainty of his prowess. He reaches for the armor with a sense of purpose. The moment his hand brushes the surface, a strange pulse ripples across the armor's gleaming surface. The Proxim's body shudders, and then, with shocking force, he is lifted off the ground. Slowly at first, then faster, until he is spinning, weightless in the air. His limbs flail uncontrollably as he hovers, caught in a powerful anti-gravity field that seems to have materialized out of thin air. The team watches in stunned silence, only to burst into suppressed laughter as the Proxim floats helplessly in midair, caught in a loop of disorienting spins. His face contorts in confusion and panic, and yet, there is nothing he can do. The sound of his disarray is strangely comical, almost as if the armor is mocking his every move. Orion, not quite hiding his amusement. Symptoms include neural disruption, mild gravitational confusion, and anti-grav rejection. That's a new one. The Proxim's desperate attempts to right himself in the air only add to the absurdity. The scene unfolds as if it were a cruel joke played on him by the very artifact he had believed he could master. Behind him, Juno, Orion's assistant, taps at her data pad, her four eyes blinking in sync, a sign of growing focus as she deciphers the latest readings. Juno. We think we've decoded a section of the armor's markings. It says something about chosen and Earth. Orion, muttering to himself, intrigued but confused. Earth? As in dirt? Or some specific location? Orion's voice trails off as he glances back at the Proxim still spinning above, completely powerless against the strange force. Something deep in the markings seemed to hint at a connection, a word, Earth, so familiar yet so far removed from the reality they were facing. Could it be a clue? A hint at something bigger than they had imagined? The Proxim warrior is finally released from the anti-gravity field and collapses to the ground with a heavy thud, gasping for breath. The armor stands unchanged, its silence deafening in its stark indifference. Narration, Orion's voice. With every failed attempt, the armor's rejections grow more elaborate. each one more bizarre, more mocking. It feels as though the armor is not only rejecting the species that come to it, but it is entertaining itself at our expense. It's a riddle, and with every rejection, it seems to laugh silently in the face of our greatest efforts. We are not worthy, but not for the reasons we thought. The armor, standing undisturbed in the corner of the room, now seems to gleam with a new light, its surface rippling slightly, as if it were somehow amused by the spectacle unfolding around it. Each failure feeds the growing sense of mystery and frustration. There is something someone is waiting for. The next day, a soft hum fills the lab as the team continues their work, the tension palpable as they watch the latest failed experiment. Suddenly, the door slides open with a faint hiss, and a figure steps inside Alex, a maintenance worker from the facility, dressed in a plain uniform, with a tool belt slung over his shoulder. He strolls in with an air of nonchalance, carrying the faintest scent of industrial grease, his footsteps casual and unfazed by the scientific marvels surrounding him. Orion, turning sharply, his brow furrowed in confusion. Wait, who approved this? He glances at Juno, his expression one of skepticism. A slight ripple of unease passes through him. They have never allowed outsiders into the testing chamber before, especially not for something as critical as the armor. Juno, quickly scanning her data pad, her four eyes blinking in synchronized uncertainty. No one, sir. But maintenance said they'd send someone to check the systems. She shrugs, as if unsure whether to be annoyed or curious. The air in the room tightens with a sense of foreboding, and the researchers exchange wary glances. Alex continues on his way through the sterile lab, his gaze drifting carelessly over the cutting-edge equipment, the complex data displays that fill the walls. Yet, his eyes seem to gloss over the high-tech marvels around him, eventually landing on the armor. It stands there, untouched, its form glimmering with ancient mystery, but to Alex, it's just another piece of machinery needing attention. He stops a few feet from the armor, adjusting the tools hanging from his belt, his expression blank. With a dismissive gesture, he runs a hand through his hair, as if preparing to get to work. Alex, with a smirk, not a trace of awe in his voice. Wow, neat statue. Looks like something out of those old Earth video games my grandma used to play. The words, casual and unbothered, hang in the air like a cold gust. Alex seems to take no special notice of the towering artifact before him, and yet the armor still, almost deceptively still seems to react, though not in any way visible to the human eye. The team watches in stunned silence, their disbelief growing by the second. Alex doesn't flinch as he leans closer to inspect the surface of the armor. He casually taps on a few controls, muttering under his breath as though he's simply adjusting a piece of malfunctioning equipment. His movements are methodical, practiced, as if this was an everyday task, something he had done 100 times before. The researchers stand frozen, exchanging confused looks. There is something so unnervingly ordinary about this moment, something they can't quite place. How could someone so unassuming, so oblivious to the magnitude of the situation, be so close to unlocking what they had failed to activate for years. The armor impossibly remains silent, its surface gleaming faintly under the harsh lab lights. To the researchers, it feels almost as though the artifact is waiting for something, or someone. Something about this moment, this human presence, feels both foreign and familiar, as if the armor recognizes the absence of fear and reverence in Alex's eyes. Something in the air shifts, barely perceptible. As Alex takes a step back, still oblivious to the intensity of the room around him, the silence is deafening. The armor, like a dormant giant, seems to stir, ever so slightly. The moment Alex's fingers make contact with the surface of the armor, a strange, almost imperceptible hum fills the room. It is faint at first, like the whisper of an ancient force awakening after millennia of slumber. The air seems to thicken, as though the very molecules are shifting, and for a brief second, the entire lab holds its breath. The armor, which had once stood cold and unmoving, begins to respond. A shimmering ripple runs across its surface, undulating like liquid metal. The sleek, rigid form of the armor shifts, its panels sliding and reconfiguring with a fluidity that defies logic. The ancient artifact, which had previously been unyielding and dormant, now seems to be alive, breathing, molding itself around Alex with an almost unnatural precision. Every curve, every contour, aligns perfectly with his body as if it were designed for him, and him alone. The team stands motionless, their eyes wide in disbelief, unable to process what they are witnessing. The armor, this relic of a forgotten age, seems to recognize him, to accept him, in a way they never thought possible. Orion, his voice barely a whisper, filled with awe and confusion. Wait, what just happened? The words hang in the air, but there is no answer. No explanation can account for the impossible sight before them. The armor, once a mysterious and intimidating artifact, is now a seamless extension of the human standing before it. It hums with energy, its once impervious surface now perfectly attuned to the form of Alex. Alex, casually adjusting the fit, as if everything were entirely normal. Hey, this is pretty comfortable. But you might want to adjust the environmental controls. It's running a bit hot. His words, delivered with a nonchalance that could only come from someone completely unaware of the magnitude of the situation, seem almost out of place in a charged atmosphere. As Alex moves, the armor shifts with him effortlessly, its joints responding fluidly to every subtle motion. The team watches, frozen in place, as the impossible unfolds before them. The energy in the room feels palpable now. The very walls hum with a subtle, yet undeniable force. The armor, which had rejected every other species, now appears to bond effortlessly with this unassuming human. It is as if the artifact, long dormant and untouched, had been waiting for this moment, waiting for the right presence to activate it, to bring it to life. The researchers stand, motionless, their collective disbelief hanging thick in the air. How could this be happening? For years, they had tested and failed, each attempt more elaborate than the last. And now, with the most mundane of individuals, the armor had awakened. The silence in the room deepens. The question that lingers on everyone's mind is not just how this happened, but why Alex? What is it about him that the armor recognizes, accepts, and more than anything bonds with? The moment is surreal. A simple, human worker has just done what the greatest minds in the galaxy could not. He has bridged the gap between an ancient technology and a living being. And yet, the researchers, though in awe, cannot shake the feeling that there is something more to this than meets the eye. Something hidden just beneath the surface. As Alex begins to make minor adjustments to the armor's systems, as though he were simply tuning an old machine, the researchers exchange looks. There is a sense of unease, a realization dawning upon them that they have just uncovered a mystery far more complex than they could have imagined. The armor has chosen. But why? In that moment, they are no longer simply witnesses. They are participants in something far greater, a revelation that, perhaps, they were never meant to uncover. The lab is silent, the air heavy with anticipation as Alex stands fully encased in the ancient armor. Its surface shimmers with a strange energy, as though it were awakening from a long slumber. The walls seem to vibrate with an almost imperceptible hum, the air thickening, as if the very atmosphere is preparing for something monumental. Then, without warning, the armor's surface shifts, and a deep, booming voice resonates throughout the lab. It is a voice unlike any human sound, rich, resonant, and impossibly ancient. The sound fills the entire space, vibrating through the walls, the floor, and the very bones of those who hear it. Armor's voice, booming with power and certainty. Greetings, descendants of Project Genesis. This unit is pleased to announce successful genetic compatibility confirmation. The words are spoken with an authority that makes the very air feel heavy. The voice seems to come from all around, echoing in the minds of those who hear it, making them pause, as if the universe itself were speaking directly to them. The team stands frozen, their expressions a mix of disbelief and awe. The voice is both alien and somehow familiar. Orion, unable to comprehend the magnitude of the moment, takes a step forward, his mouth moving but his voice trembling. Orion, stumbling over his words, his mind racing to make sense of the impossibility. Are you telling me, humans, were genetically engineered by an ancient alien race? His question hangs in the air, the weight of it impossible to ignore. The room feels as though time itself has frozen, every eye fixed on Alex, who stands there, seemingly unaffected by the revelations unfolding around him. The air grows colder, and the subtle hum intensifies. Armor's voice, cheerfully, as though explaining something simple and obvious. Yes, indeed. You were cultivated to inherit our technology. Your species' curiosity and problem-solving skills were exactly what we were waiting for. The voice continues, almost amused by the questions it has provoked, as if it is speaking to children who have finally stumbled upon a long-forgotten truth. The armor, once a mere relic of ancient history, now seems to pulse with life, its form shifting as though responding to the words it speaks. The revelation is staggering. The realization that humans were not an accident, not an evolution driven by chance, but were intentionally created, engineered by an ancient race known only as the Gardeners, shatters everything the researchers thought they knew about their place in the universe. The very foundation of their understanding is being torn away, replaced by something far more complex, far more profound. The air feels electric, as if the room itself is charged with the energy of this long-hidden secret. The armor, once cold and indifferent, now seems to recognize something in Alex, something that only it, and perhaps the ancient creators, truly understand. It was waiting for him. For this moment. For this revelation. Orion, his voice barely more than a whisper, the weight of the truth settling on him. So, we were designed to inherit your technology? Why? The answer lingers on the tip of everyone's tongue, but it is the armor that answers, its voice still tinged with the echo of ancient knowledge. Armor's voice, with a note of satisfaction. Your species was chosen for your remarkable capacity to question, to solve the impossible, and to adapt. The Gardeners designed you to inherit what we left behind, what we have seeded across the galaxy. And now, you will continue what we began, with your ingenuity and your relentless drive to explore. The voice fades, leaving a heavy silence in its wake, as if the very walls of the lab were holding their breath. The research team, still in shock, can only stare at Alex, who stands at the center of it all, the armor now a part of him, not just physically, but in a way that defies explanation. The full implications of what has just been revealed have yet to sink in. The Gardeners, these ancient beings, did not just leave behind artifacts. They left behind a legacy. A legacy that Alex, and humanity, are now tied to. The weight of the truth presses down on them all, and yet, a strange sense of purpose begins to stir in the air, like the first stirring of a long-dormant force awakening once more. In that moment, the lab is no longer just a research facility. It is a crossroads, a turning point in the story of humanity, one that will change everything they thought they knew about their past, their future, and their place in the cosmos. The hum of the lab's advanced systems is suddenly interrupted by a sharp alarm. The steady rhythm of the facility is shattered as the doors to the test chamber burst open with violent force. A group of mercenaries, armed and masked, flood into the room, their eyes gleaming with greed. They move swiftly, weapons raised, their intentions clear the armor. The atmosphere shifts from one of eerie calm to sudden chaos, the air thick with tension. These men are no mere intruders, they are professionals, hired to steal what they cannot understand. But they are not prepared for what awaits them. Alex, still encased in the ancient armor, stands unfazed in the center of the lab, an unassuming figure at first glance. But as the mercenaries approach, there is a shift in the room. The very air seems to crackle with energy. With a fluid motion, Alex's hands move to the armor's interface, and in a blink, the armor springs to life, its systems activating in perfect harmony. Alex, cheerfully, as though he's discussing the weather. "Wow, are you guys seriously using Mark III plasma rifles?" Those things are super inefficient. His words cut through the tension in the room like a blade. The mercenaries, initially taken aback by his nonchalance, hesitate for a split second, unsure whether to laugh or fire. But it's too late. The armor, responding to Alex's every command, moves with blinding speed. In an instant, the combat systems within the armor come online. Alex is no longer just a man in a suit, he is a living extension of the armor's immense power. The motion is so swift, so precise, it's almost as though the mercenaries' actions are happening in slow motion. Before they can react, Alex disarms the first mercenary, his weapon twisted from his hands and thrown across the room, landing with a metallic clang. Another mercenary lunges forward, but Alex spins gracefully, using the armor's enhanced agility to sidestep and lock the attacker in a hold. The grip of the armor is like iron, unbreakable, precise. The mercenary struggles, but there is no escape. Meanwhile, Alex continues to speak with the same ease as though discussing a simple task. He raises his voice slightly, addressing the entire group. Alex, casually, almost too calm. You know, if you're going to use plasma rifles, at least make sure they are properly calibrated. These things leak energy like crazy. You're wasting so much power it's almost laughable. The remaining mercenaries exchange uncertain glances, their guns still raised, but their resolve wavering. The suit that had once been an ancient, silent relic is now a living weapon in Alex's hands, an unstoppable force. He moves through the attackers with ease, his every action controlled, deliberate. Every move is calculated, a perfect blend of skill and technology. As the mercenaries attempt to regroup, Alex, with an almost bored expression, activates the armor's defense mechanisms. The air around him seems to hum with an energy that is not of this world. His arm moves, and a focused gravity field sends another mercenary floating towards the ceiling, helplessly suspended in midair. Narration: Orion's voice, in awe. The armor wasn't looking for a worthy candidate. It was waiting for someone who didn't take themselves too seriously, someone who would treat advanced alien technology like it was just another malfunctioning piece of equipment. And that someone was human. The final mercenary tries to make a last stand, but before he can even aim his weapon, Alex is upon him, easily disarming him and rendering him powerless. With a swift motion, the weapon is torn from his grasp and sent skidding across the floor. The fight, which had begun with the intent of stealing an ancient artifact, is over in moments. The mercenaries are disarmed, incapacitated, and left wondering what just happened. Their weapons, once a deadly threat, are now nothing more than broken tools in the hands of someone who sees them as little more than a malfunction waiting to be fixed. Alex stands among them, still calm, still casual, as if this were just another day in the life of a maintenance worker. The armor's systems hum softly, as though in satisfaction at the seamless operation it has just performed. Alex, smiling to himself, wiping a non-existent bead of sweat from his forehead. Honestly, I was expecting a bit more of a challenge. But hey, At least you guys kept me on my toes for a minute. The lab, once a place of scientific study, is now a battlefield silent but for the hum of the armor and the soft groans of the mercenaries, defeated and awestruck. The research team, still reeling from the chaos, watches in stunned silence as Alex, the man they thought of as nothing more than a simple worker, effortlessly controls a piece of technology far beyond anything they could have ever imagined. The strange hum of the armor fades, and for the first time, the team begins to understand the true nature of the artifact. This is not just a relic, it is a tool that had been waiting for the right hands to wield it. As the armor pulses with ancient power, and Alex stands at the center of a secret far greater than anyone could have imagined, one question remains: what happens next? With the revelation that humanity was designed to inherit the gardener's technology, and with the armor now bonded to a seemingly ordinary man, the possibilities are endless. What other hidden artifacts await discovery? What does this mean for the future of humanity? The story doesn't end here. The universe is vast, and we've only just begun to scratch the surface. What do you think this discovery means for us? Do you believe there are more secrets like this waiting to be uncovered? Or is there more at play than we can even comprehend? Leave your thoughts and theories in the comments below. We want to hear what you think. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next Galactic Conundrum. Until then, keep your curiosity alive. Who knows what we'll uncover next?